This program is presented by University of California Television. Like what you learn? Visit our website or follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the latest UCTV programs.
Well, welcome to Script to Screen. We are honored our first time to have an actor's perspective on the screenplay. So we're very excited. Thank you, Mr. Malcolm McDowell. So when was the last, you said, when did you see it in Cannes?
I saw it in Cannes for the first time in 20 years. But you know, I don't like looking at my work when I've done it. I don't like looking back on things. I only like looking forward. And it's when people say, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite role? The next one.
So let me just rip up this last question. No, I'm teasing you.
I think it's a fairly remarkable film, and I think it does hold up. And it's interesting because when we made the film, I always thought, you know, we're making a black comedy. It's very black, but very funny if you have that kind of humor, which of course the English do. More probably than the Americans. But when it came out, it was so far ahead in the look of its time that people just sat there completely mesmerized, and there was not one laugh in the whole thing, much to my absolute disgust. And everybody was completely obsessed with the violence. And I was like, there's no violence in this film. Have you seen Peckinpah's movies? Have you seen Wild Bunch? My God, that's a ballet of violence. But of course, this is violent, but it's psychological sort of violence. And, you know, it's one of the great stories, really, because it's such a dilemma. The dilemma is that here you have the leading character who is an immoral man. And I don't think in movies there had been an immoral man who was the lead in the movie, the star of the movie. The only one I can think of is a strange choice, but it's a Shakespearean film that Olivier did of Richard III.
I remember that, yes.
And I honestly always had that sort of picture in my head because I saw it as a boy and was very taken with that great performance of Olivier, you know, and every schoolboy in England was made to see his great Shakespeare movies, Henry V and Richard III especially, which is such a great film too, and you know, made a big impression on me. So I always had that in the back of my mind when I was doing the role of Alex.
So talking about that, when you first read the script, I mean, Alex is a sociopathic thug, but you need to humanize him so the audience connect. What were the challenges in trying to?
Well, you've hit it. That was the challenge. With a Kubrick movie, the script was rather skeleton-like, and basically just chunks from various chapters of the book, which I read and held on to as my Bible. And Kubrick, I think he's credited with screenplay, which is really a bit of a laugh, actually, because the truth is that I think if I really come to dissect it, and I think that a lot of it was actually my ideas, because, well, they would be, because I was in the middle of it. So, you know, the way we would work would be to rehearse the scene, to find out what it's about, and to let him figure out how he was going to shoot it. But Kubrick would never turn the camera until he had it perfectly in his mind. That's why he takes so damn long to shoot, because he never knew, he never really knew in his mind what he wanted. He knew what he didn't want. He didn't know what he wanted very often.
Until he saw it. You know,
Until he saw it. I used to joke with him and say, no wonder you like working with Peter Sellers. Because he'd just do another character, until he found the one you wanted.
What I found interesting is Alex starts as the thug, then he becomes submissive and passive, and then he's back to thug. Was that fun for you as an actor, playing a character who changes so much during the movie?
Well, yeah, of course it's fun, but he's only passive because he's given this Ludovico treatment that is this aversion therapy, which we sort of in England like to joke, they're probably doing it in California. Because everything they did in California, Because in the rest of the world, we think that California, they're all on some weird drugs or something, and doing experimental stuff in the prisons, making guinea pigs of the poor prisoners and all the rest of it. But that was a sort of game that we used to play. But it's very much Burgess's creation. And Anthony Burgess, the novelist who wrote the novel, was a very extraordinary talent. And an extraordinary man. I got to meet him, but only after the movie. Oh. Kubrick wouldn't have him around. He wanted to make his own film without any interference from a pesky author. And Kubrick was right, because Kubrick is a great artist of film, and Burgess was a writer, so a novelist. And really, I think it's one of the great examples of a really classic novel, if you like, being transferred to a movie that's as good. I won't say it's better, but it's as good.
You mentioned Kubrick. You work with directors more with theater background, Lindsay Anderson, for example.
Yes.
So how is Kubrick's style different working with actors compared to the theater?
Oh, Lord. Well, Stanley hadn't got a clue about actors. He could care less about actors. I asked him once, "What do you think, Stanley?" He looked at me and he looked at me with an incredulous look, and he went, "Well, that's why I hired you." And I thought, wow, that's incredible, but of course, he was right in a way. And I realized, actually, that he'd given me the greatest gift that any director could give an actor, was show me. What do you got? Well, let's see what you have. And once I'd got used to that, because, I was used to the very nurturing Lindsay Anderson, who was a genius, one of the great directors I ever worked with, and a remarkable man, a great man. And Kubrick was too, but in a very different way. Kubrick was much more into the actual art of film and the technical aspects of, finding great lenses, cameras, and film stock and speed of this and that. I mean, he would wax lyrical about some lens that NASA had developed or something, and and we're all sort of nodding, going, "Really?" But who cares, really? But of course, we didn't say that. But that was certainly going through my mind. Was just, let's get the damn thing shot. Because you can't do it, Stanley, without actors. I know you want to, but you can't.
See, in the CGI age, he might like that now.
Well, he got very close to doing it without actors in 2001, because the main actor is a bloody computer and a voice.
I was always curious about the singing in the rain scene, because I read that was a very difficult scene trying to capture. Is that the situation where the script just was kind of a little...
There was nothing in the script. The script said the boys come in and they throw bottles of liquor through a window. Obviously, that wasn't going to cut it, because you know that what I had found, which was a surprise to me, was that, that what evolved was a certain style. And it was a style which was believable, real, but not realistic. And so that everything was heightened, and so that you get the humor out of it, actually. And so when we came to do this, I realized that, to do a realistic rape and murder, it was going to be impossible. It was not only turn everybody off, but the film would be over. I mean, you had to find a way to do it which was acceptable and smart and clever. I know it sounds a little weird now to say that, but at the time, it was extremely difficult to find that way through. And obviously, for the story and the plot, she had to be raped and he had to be beaten. Simple as that. And I had to come out of it not as a Charles Manson kind of figure, So luckily, after 5 days of sitting around doing nothing, Kubrick just happened to say, "Can you dance?" Well, I can't dance, but I gave it a go, and out popped Singing in the Rain, and I sort of just improv the whole scene. And I mean, I saw his face light up, and he grabbed hold of me, got in his car, drove back to his house, which was half an hour away. He got on the phone, he bought the rights to Singing in the Rain, and we went back and shot that sequence. Took about a week to shoot. Amazing, really. And it's a pivotal point in the film. And just by luck, by chance, we found it through just an improv, that's why sometimes it's really important not to overthink stuff and just to let intuition take over.
The thing that amazes me with the movie is a lot of the film is nonverbal. Your physical manifestation is what's going on, because you have the voiceover, but you're acting the scene nonverbally.
Right.
Was that kind of a challenge? Feels like you really couldn't use dialogue as much. You had to convey Alex's state of mind.
Well, I never even thought of it that way, to be honest with you. I just quickly scanned the scene and went, "Oh, good, I don't have too many lines to remember." And I think that's more the way actors work, But obviously, film is very physical. It's movies, movement, and the movement of a character tells all about him. And just by some subtle changes in movement, you can make big changes in a character. You can know instantly. It's a sort of roadmap to an emotional state of mind of a character just by the movement. Or just if I'm talking in a sort of medium shot and do this, suddenly this becomes a focal point, So it's very important how the actor chooses the movement and how he's going to use that. If I'm going to make a toast, and this is a glass, say, I move it like this in preparation of the toast. So you're setting the audience up. You're giving it a style rather than just being naturalistic and boring. So, and then by the time you come to do this, subliminally they've been prepared, if you see what I mean. I mean, it's kind of sort of splitting hairs and a gray area, but it's the only thing that keeps me interested.
I've noticed, because I watched a lot of your films preparing for this.
Oh my God.
Clockwork Orange. It's kind of a sci-fi allegorical slant. Clockwork Orange, Time After Time, which I grew up with. I love that movie.
Yes.
And Star Trek Generations. Is there something about sci-fi or fantasy as an actor you enjoy these kind of roles?
No, I don't at all. No, I don't go looking for them. They come
find you.
looking for me. Once you've been stuck in one of the great science fiction horror movies of all time, you tend to get offered a few to repeat, which I've never done really anything ever like this. Maybe Caligula, but that's about it. You didn't see that in your...
I did. I watched it 6 months ago.
God. Well, that's nothing to do with... that wasn't anything to do with research. Sure.
No. That was like a family movie with the kids, you know.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So we did some of that.
Yeah, okay.
So we have our audience is a lot of aspiring screenwriters, young students who are writing screenplays.
Great.
As an actor, what would you like to tell them? Like, what do you look for in a part? What do you want to see when you read a screenplay to get you? I want to play that part, or is it just different for different roles?
Well, look, I can't really tell you that because there's no answer to that. I don't know. It's intuitive. I can tell you within pretty much 2 pages whether I'm interested in it or not. And that's the truth. Sometimes I don't even get that far. But I think from screenwriting point of view, for a screenwriter, I would think you have to write about something that you emotionally know, that has moved you, that you've been a part of, an experience of, or something. But I think if you try to, you have to be a really wonderful writer and really experienced to take something out of your own experience and work it, you know. That takes a tremendous amount of skill. And I would, you've got to have lived a bit. I think, I know there are a lot of great first novels and stuff, but it's usually written about emotionally territory that the writer themselves have traveled down.
And you can sense that within a page or two if the writer is not doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, you can notice that this part is not for me. The stories.
Well, you think, well, this is ridiculous. This is so predictable. This is a hackneyed kind of. This is what everybody, so instantly it's probably not going to be for me. But it'll end up on television. Somebody will do it.
Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for taking the time out and
Pleasure.
for our talking the story and of course this classic film.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.